We are getting new details on the deadly fire that erupted in Mexico overnight, just across the border from El Paso, Texas. It happened at a detention center for migrants trying to reach the U.S. Mexico's National Immigration Institute says the fire killed 39 people and it injured 29 others. So Camilo Montoya Gavez is following this story for us as it develops. He's joining us now. Camilo, it's good to see you. Do we have any information yet on the cause of the fire and anything about the people who were being held there? Well, I guess who were there.
Yes, good morning, Anne-Marie and Vlad. We know that more than 3 dozen migrants have died in this tragic event in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. We know that these were migrants who were being held in an immigration detention facility run by the Mexican government in that northern Mexican city right across El Paso, Texas. This is an area where thousands of migrants and asylum seekers are waiting to enter the U.S. We understand that this was a detention facility where migrants were being processed before being deported to the interior of Mexico to be sent back home to places like Venezuela and other Latin American nations. The Mexican president today, Manuel López Obrador, suggested that this fire was started by the migrants themselves because they were protesting the fact that they were going to be deported and removed from that area. We know that there's a lot of pent-up frustration in this area of Mexico as the U.S. has now increased its enforcement and has been expelling thousands of migrants to this area of Mexico under the Title 42 pandemic policy. And many of those migrants are waiting to get an appointment to try to seek asylum in the U.S. under a new Biden administration process that allows them to secure those appointments through a mobile app. So there's a lot of clearly pent-up frustration in the city, and this looks like it could be one of the reasons that this fire started.
So you were in Juarez last week. What did you see? And that frustration that you're reporting on, were you able to see it firsthand?
Yes. I mean, El Paso, Texas, just so you know, Vlad, was completely overwhelmed by the migration surge it saw in December. Hundreds of migrants were sleeping on city streets. Shelters in El Paso were completely overwhelmed. The city actually had to set up makeshift shelters at convention centers and vacant middle schools. But that has ended now, and that's because the U.S. changed its policy and is expelling many more migrants to Mexico, and the humanitarian crisis in many ways has shifted to the other side. And so when we went to Ciudad Juarez, Vlad, many of the shelters there were oversaturated and overwhelmed, overcrowded. We know that there's a lot of frustration there with people trying to get this appointment. There are only a few dozen spots in that region every day for migrants to enter the U.S., but there are believed to be more than 10,000 migrants in this region. So there is not enough spots for the very high demand of people waiting to seek asylum in the U.S. And that's clearly driving a lot of this frustration and anxiety amongst migrants.
And now we have, people who've lost their lives, people who may be badly injured, and a facility that I presume will not be reopened for a while. So one less place for them to go to. Camilo, thank you.
Thank you.